I would love to give a warm welcome to a very special guest, the one and only driver of the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Machine, championship contender Christopher Bell, who, fun fact, has been given a nickname by fans on the NASCAR meme subreddit as Riztopher Bell.
I haven't heard that one before.
You haven't heard that one?
I have not. That's news to me.
So, you think that nickname can stick?
Hey, I'm hands off on nicknames. That's whatever the fans decide. So. But that's a new one to me. I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh, okay. Maybe we could start something with that, you know?
Who knows? Who knows?
So yeah, first question, I want to just kind of cover the Las Vegas race.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of playoff implications from that race.
Huge, huge.
2 championship contenders get taken out early with, William Byron running into Ty Dillon, getting into pit road, and Ryan Blaney having an early exit as well. And currently, you're sitting 20 points to the good for the playoffs. I wanted to ask, there's such an interesting dynamics in these next 2 races.
Absolutely.
Talladega, which is kind of like full pedal to the metal, worry about the big one at any given moment, to a frustrating paperclip in Martinsville. I wanted to ask, you obviously can run in the back at Talladega, but you have to risk, losing precious points going into Martinsville. How does that change you and your team's strategy going into these next 2 races?
Yeah, so that's the million-dollar question, and that's a very, very hard question. So the thing is about Talladega, it sounds great on paper. Hey, we're going to run up front, we're going to score all the points, we're going to be, do this, have a great day. But out of the 3 superspeedway races that we've had this year, 2 times I've been wrecked out from the front row. So the safe play is to definitely ride around in the back and try and survive, get through the carnage, and then race at the end. But there's 2 things to that. Number one, if you're in the back, you have to go to the front at some point. So you are putting a lot of risk on yourself whenever you try and go back through that pack. And then number 2, you're giving up a lot of points through the stages. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of cat and mouse, I think, between the competitors who are points racing against each other. You mentioned the 2 crashes that we had at Las Vegas. So specifically Ryan Blaney, I think he's too far out of the points that he's going to be all in for a race win. So he's not going to be worried about the point standings and trying to get those stage points. Myself, I desperately need the stage points. William Byron, Chase Briscoe, we are all going to be fighting very hard to get points and try and make sure that we stay above that cut line. Where some of the other guys, they have the option to just change their strategy up to try and win the race.
And kind of shifting gears with that, in terms of the enhanced competitive nature that comes with a race of Martinsville, which just last season you had your championship hopes kind of...
The highs of highs and the lows of lows.
Yeah, a debatable safety violation, they called it at the time. How do you manage to put your emotions aside, given the circumstances of last season, for what may be considered one of the more important races of your career?
Absolutely.
Are looking to chase that coveted first championship?
So I would say that Martinsville 2024 was probably the biggest defeat that I've ever had in my career so far. And Martinsville, oh man, it just, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Talking about that 2024 event, but then going back to the 2022 event, whenever I was able to go to victory lane and punch my ticket into the round of 4, was something that I will never forget for the rest of my life. So it's just such a huge weekend for our sport, and to be able to crown your championship at the conclusion of the Martinsville race. And we've seen it time and time again that it comes down to the last corner of the last lap to know who's going to get in and who's going to be out. And we get to do that 3 times between the NASCAR Truck Series on Friday night, the Xfinity Series Saturday, and then the Cup Series on Sunday. So it's a great weekend. I'll be tuned in to all the races, obviously competing on Sunday, but I can't wait to watch all the events there on Martinsville race weekend.
You kind of stole my next question, the 2022 win at Martinsville. What makes the grandfather clock that much more like just you want it?
Other than other trophies that are presented.
So it's historic, and Martinsville they've done such a good job of creating this tradition of the grandfather clock and the winner of the race getting it. It has become a storied trophy that everyone wants and cherishes. And there are only a couple racetracks that have that marquee trophy. You think of the Bristol Sword, the Martinsville Clock. You have the Lobster at New Hampshire. So there's only a couple tracks that have their marquee trophy, and that grandfather clock is definitely top of the list.
I'll tell you what, you keep stealing my questions. You got a mind reader over here. I was gonna ask about that because you won the Bristol twice. You got 2 swords.
Yep.
You won New Hampshire. You got 2 lobsters. Now you're going for 2 grandfather clocks. where do you put a grandfather clock? And if you were to win a second one, where on earth are you putting said second grandfather clock?
So most of my trophies are in my office area or in my race shop. So no trophies except for that grandfather clock are in our living area. So, and I do have a spot for a second grandfather clock that's right across the way. So I have plenty of room for it. Maybe it'll come next week.
And I kind of want to touch on as well, you've seamlessly kind of made this transition from being considered one of the younger and up-and-coming drivers to now you are a bona fide championship contender year in and year out, the upper echelon of drivers in the field. How would you say your expectations and approach has differentiated each season as you have blossomed into this kind of Cup Series career?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely, I go back to 2022, which was the first year that I made the championship for. We had the goal of reaching the championship for. We didn't have the expectation of reaching the championship for. And then once we accomplished that, it kind of turned from a goal to an expectation, and we were able to follow that up in 23 and obviously come very close in 2024. So, as I have matured in my NASCAR Cup Series career, it's been very cool and refreshing and rewarding to now what I dreamed of and what my goals were as a kid or a rookie in the series has now became expectations. And, it's obviously really fun whenever you live up to them, and it can be disheartening whenever you don't live up to them.
And I wanted to ask one last question. This cutoff race in particular has had so many iconic moments in recent years.
It sure has.
You have the Ross Chastain video game-like move, full send in turns 3 and 4, and even going back further to the Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth saga that had me glued to the TV, which was almost 10 years ago. What makes just such a unique track like Martinsville the perfect atmosphere for such a race of this magnitude?
Well, it's just the bread and butter of our sport, and it is just the true-hearted short track. It's the short track of all short tracks, and you have a heavy braking zone. The cars don't ever get spread out. You're constantly in traffic, so it becomes a full contact sport. It's just got everything that NASCAR is known for.
Not only are you kind of competing against championship contenders, but you're also competing with people that aren't in the playoffs, that are looking to kind of get that end of season morale boost going into next season. How much does that take a play into kind of the competitiveness of it?
Well, certainly you hope that you have friends on the racetrack, that's for sure. Whenever everything's on the line, you need all the respect that you can get, and you hope that you race people the way that they would want you to race if they were in that same situation. So there's different driver codes all over the garage, and some people think this is fair, and some people think that that's not fair. And you just, you're keeping notes for sure. And throughout the course of the season that you hope that you have treated your competitors fair enough that they're going to give you the respect while you're racing for a championship. So sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. And that's what makes Martinsville a can't miss event.
Thank you so much for joining. Tune in for Martinsville and Talladega as Christopher Bell continues to chase that championship.